The West Mifflin Area School District work session held in the middle school cafeteria, 81 Commonwealth Avenue, West Mifflin, PA. Meeting begins at 7 p.m. Opening exercises, pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Arbisack, roll call.
Ahern.
Here.
Blazevich.
Here.
Donahue.
Here.
Englert. Here. Gatus.
Here.
Kopay. Uhas. DeCenzo. Squires.
Here. Presentations. Dr. Sullivan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President. There is no presentations this evening.
Okay. Addendum will be regular board meeting. Hearing of the citizens. Did anyone sign up? No hearing of the citizens this evening. Number 5, information items. There are none. 6, board secretary's report. Ms. Arbisack.
Thank you, Mr. Squires. We have 3 items today. Executive sessions from January, approval of minutes from January, and then potential meeting dates for the 25-26 school year for our work session and regular board meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Arbisack. Any discussion on those items?
Just to let you know, Mr. Squires, the May meeting is up a week because commencement is going to be on the 21st, so we scooted that up. And then June is back a week, and that's because we typically have, we have July off, so just trying to reduce the amount of time off between our meetings. And I would also point out that we are going to say that this space is going to be our primary, easy for me to say on that one, primary meeting space, and that the high school auditorium will be our secondary meeting place. The reason we're doing that is we don't know exactly when the auditorium is going to be fully ready to be utilized. We sure hope it's going to be by the time August rolls around, but I can't guarantee that. So we will ask folks, to check the website to make sure where we are actually going to have the meeting. So we're going to have this as where we're usually going to have it, and the auditorium in the high school as the backup.
Director of Finance and Operations report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under finance, certainly happy to say that we have received a competitive grant for $96,410. This is part of a 3-year pilot program that's administered by the Universal Service Administrative Company. A lot of people know that as USAC. It's under the oversight of the FCC, Federal Communications Corporation, or whatever FCC stands for. So there was a lot of different entities applied for that grant, and due to Mr. Crawford and our E-rate consultant, Rosemary Enos from Epic Communications, we were able to get this, and it's going to be used for cybersecurity upgrades, which will result in a safer learning and working environment for our students and staff.
Great.
2, we have the High 5 Kindergarten Readiness Grant from AIU, which we usually have. Under B, Purchasing and Contracting, we have an MOU with Gwen's Girls. That's at no cost to the district. And we're also asking for permission to put out bids for classroom supplies for the upcoming school year. That's all we have now. I'm sure after going through committee stuff, we'll have additional items next week, but that's where we're at right now. Any questions?
Can you go over and explain Gwen's Girls for a little bit?
Gwen's Girls is an outreach program through the IU who come in and help mentor our female students. Just a service as part of Mrs. Haney's, under her umbrella, bringing them in just as another service.
Number 8, financial reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have the secretary receipts, student activities, treasurer's report, A through C as presented. D, a refund subtracted from expenditures. E, our tax collector's report. All these are fairly standard, typical with what we see. F are the online sales that we had in the month of January.
I have a question. On
Yep.
technology repairs and maintenance for student obligations at the middle school and high school, would those be outstanding from before we had the coverage on devices, or are these successive device breaks?
You are correct, they're outstanding from prior to that change.
All right, thank you. Number 9, invoices, bills payable, purchase orders.
We have items for legal tax services, Andrews and Price, and also Jonathan Hess, the tax collector for West Mifflin Borough. These are fairly standard. The installment payments for Mr. Hess, I believe, is $4 per installment payment that we pay as part of the contract that we have with them. So when you are a tax collector and somebody pays up front just their total bill, obviously there's a certain amount of work there, but when they're doing installments, it's additional work. So this is paying them for that additional work. And that's variable year to year depending on whether people choose to use the installments or not. So this year's cost is $3,804. And B, all our bills and purchase orders, cash disbursement reports that are in your backup folders.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. Any questions? Number 10, district operations.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Under district operations, we have 2 items. A, the proposal for the post our ESY positions. That's our summer program. And also the proposal for the freshman and sophomore class to attend a 1-day field trip to Cedar Point.
Number 11, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under superintendent's report, we have items A through E. A being the student services, and that is a settlement agreement. Under student activities, field trips. Under C, student fundraising. D, buildings and grounds, facility use. And E, conferences, as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Souls. Any questions on any of those items? Number 12, professional personnel.
That concludes my report, Mr. President. We will do personnel at the regular voting meeting.
Okay, so that takes us to board president's correspondence. There is none at this time. Executive session discussion. We had executive session prior to this meeting. We discussed personnel, labor relations, litigation, and real estate. Board reports.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Under committee meetings, we will start with the buildings and grounds. Mr. Dsitrict, I know he's prepared to sort of give an update as to the status of our maintenance fleet, and we're putting a plan together to start to replace some of those trucks. Mr. Dsitrict, you want to add anything to that?
Thank you, Mr. Souls. I gave you guys a little spreadsheet there of our district vehicles. I believe you got those. If not, I'll make sure you get them. We have 3 of them that really are starting to get bad right now. The oldest one is a 2007. That's just a regular bed truck for the guys to have their toolboxes on the side. It's just starting to get us, nickel and dime us pretty good. The catalytic converter, we just had it inspected. The catalytic converter is weak. It'll pass this year, but not next year. He told us it's a very expensive one. We're probably figuring about $5 or $6 grand. I didn't get numbers for it, so it's going to be very expensive for that one. The number 2 one I'd like to look at replacing soon is going to be the dump truck. It's not that old. It's a 2006. I'm sorry, it's older, but don't have many miles. 56,000 miles on it. It's just beat. It's tired. when you're carrying all that weight, it doesn't want to move too good. And the other one I'd really like to look at down the road too soon is, we have a '09 Silverado, it has about 114,000 miles on it. And that's the one that, further on in our committee meeting, it needs a plow on that one. You can see daylight through it about 4 different places, so we've seen the light out of the plow. If we get a new plow for this right now, we don't get a truck, we may be able to put it on, but we probably have to get a different mount and everything underneath this truck, which is pretty old anyway. We could probably get another year or so out of that plow. 2 years is pushing it with that plow, and we could probably put some reinforcements on the back of it to get it through. As far as the other vehicles we have, they're all in really good shape. The Jeep is getting a little tired too, but we just use that for security. It's just right around the buildings and stuff, it don't go that far. 14 Ford F-250s, 77,000 miles, there's nothing, we're good with all that. Basically, this is just a rundown of what we have, but our top 3 are that '06 Ford F-450, the '07 Silverado, and the '09 Silverado.
Seeing how long it took to get the vans, maybe look into getting prices for the future, so you can see what you need and how long it'll take.
Okay,
Yeah, that's my.
first, just see where we're at with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you're talking about the 3 different vehicles, not looking at all 3 at the same time, but maybe a schedule of when we can replace them to fit within next year's budget and things along those lines. Is there anything that's absolutely critical? I mean, the salt spreader and the snow plow, they may be required for next year, but I think we're at the point of the year, although I don't know lead times on something like that.
I think they'll have them in stock. He gave me a price like right now for that stuff, so I would imagine that's.
So that's something we could build into next year's budget.
Yeah, and I would just go, I really think we could go in order the 1, 2, 3 on that paper that you have and just do 1 a year or something like
Yeah.
that. We'd be fine, but
Yeah.
we'd make it for sure. I shouldn't say that, knock on wood, but.
Yeah, and it's also, if you can stagger them, it's a little bit better because then you have a calendar of events and so rather than taking a big hit at one time.
1 a year's way better, way more
Yeah.
usable.
Yeah, that '09 is just, I'm sorry, the '07 is the worst one. That one's really bad. And like I said, with that
Look at that
converter,
one
it's
first.
not gonna pass next year, anybody told us.
So that would have to be passed. When was it just inspected?
Last week.
Okay, so it would have to be done by the end of this year sometime.
Right, yes.
Okay, but that can be pushed into next year's budget.
Yeah, I would say we want to think about getting a replacement for that before we put $6,000 into repairing
That's
it.
right.
Oh, yeah, I mean, are you talking, we would need the $6,000 repair right away?
No,
No.
that'll be
Or
next
it's gotta
year.
be for next,
Just for the converter to get it through inspection.
that way, through inspection next year? Yeah,
Yes.
we would definitely want to replace that rather than do that kind of
And
expense.
the body's pretty bad too, but
Yeah.
that was just, the light was on when we took it in, he cleared the light and he said, it's coming up as it's a weak converter and it's gonna go, it won't pass next year.
But that and the salt spreader and the snow plow should be shown on for next year's budget so that we're prepared, because we're in the process of preparing a budget now, so we want to make sure that we have the numbers in there.
I do have the numbers for the plow and all that.
Oh, yeah, I saw them in the folder.
Okay.
Do you need those now?
No, we'll make it through the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because hopefully winter,
Yeah, we should be good.
Let's call them.
They're gonna
stupid
be out in a couple
groundhog,
minutes,
but
they'll
other
be
than
out.
that, like, hopefully we could be coming out. of
Yeah, I think
winter.
we'll make it.
Okay.
We've got 3 other plows on trucks we could use if that one should go for
Okay,
sure.
okay.
We'll make it.
But for next year, or for the
Yes.
down the road? Okay.
Thank you.
And then the next thing we had, we already discussed the salt spreaders and the snow plow, is the backstop screens for the new baseball fields. When we moved the backstop up for the baseball field, the net we had there, we couldn't use no more because it's too long now. Plus it was starting to crack up and it wasn't no good. So that bid is in there. I think it is $2,700. And I got one for the baseball field. Last year I was asked to get prices for the wings of the baseball field. And we got those, but we just never purchased them. So I had him come down since we got the new field, just to give me a whole new backstop on that one too, all the way around. And that one come in at $2,100 for that one.
So those are two separate.
you're saying one at 2,700,
That's for the baseball field,
that's for the baseball field, and then 2,100?
softball field.
Okay, good. I just want to, I read it, but I didn't remember.
It's okay.
What
So
do these do, what do these do exactly? It's in my folder, I just can't.
It
pull it up.
keeps spectators from standing behind the home plate.
Oh, and interfering.
Right. We had them on the baseball field, but like I said, we
They
cut it.
deteriorated.
Right.
Okay.
And then the the girls, we
Like
never had
vinyl
it
or
on the
something.
sides, on the girls.
Okay, I got you.
Is there a recommendation to the committee to move forward to put this on the agenda for approval?
Yes.
Yeah, the two backstops, yeah.
Down to safety and transportation, Mr. President, we're asking, it's come to my attention through conversation with security guards and Chief Boyle, that there is a need for another security guard to float between the middle school and high school. So we're asking to add one more security guard to our current complement, which I believe our contract is for 11. And that's including 2 evening persons. So I believe this would take us to 12 security guards total. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this for daytime or both?
Yeah, daytime. This is daytime. Yeah. Under finance, as we start to get into the budgeting season, and as we know, there's been a lot of movement within our tax collections and rebates and so forth. The administration wanted to start putting some articles together, news articles for the community, explaining our situation, where the tax money's coming from and where it's going and how it's spent and so forth. So through Mr. Ware's efforts, as well as working with Mr. Lucas's office, with their tax people, we started to put a series of at least 4, if not 5, monthly articles for what's going on with the common level ratio, how it's affecting the district, and so forth. So those will start to be being sent out here at the end of February. Correct, Mr. Ware?
Yes, the plan is that if the board will get to see the story number 1 for next week, and if all is well, then we'll get it out right after that meeting.
These are going to be on the website?
It will be on the website, Facebook, social media. We'll
Okay,
get it
thank you.
all as far as we can get it.
Great.
Are these like, well, I guess I'll see it next week.
It's just
It's kind of a
information.
one-pager, kind of clear-cut explainer sort of thing. It's not like we got a narrative book here that we're reading through.
No,
Not
no.
that I want to read it.
No, it's just a one-pager, very middle of the road, common sense, but just explaining
Learn what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, there are so many articles in the papers about common level ratio, but I think it's a great idea to pinpoint how it actually affects us.
Yeah, I saw it personally.
Your eyes can start to roll up in the back of your head after you read the 77th article in the paper. So if we have something that's, yeah,
And I think
to
the same-
us, I think it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah.
All right, under athletic and activities, first item we have Mr. Mayhall has given us the spring activities proposals. And you can see one is a themed art projects, storybook art, also fun and fitness games, dance and movement exploration, outdoor play, and also the proposed that we offer a flag football as an intramural for the middle school students.
Are the first things like what Empower will have offering? Is that kind of the offering there?
These, yes, the first 3 are for the younger kids, the elementary age, and then the flag football is for the older kids, yes.
Do we have an idea of these coaching positions will have to be posted, or is it going to be the same?
We will post them, And again, we'll post them just to see if we get any interest. Again, these aren't really union positions, these are just being paid the curriculum stipend for hourly, so that's how we'll go about that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay?
And they're all going to be done here at the high school, right? No elementary.
The 1 through 3 will be at Homeville and Clara Barton, and 4 will be here at the middle school.
Oh, okay.
Recommend putting that on the agenda for approval, Mr. Gatus?
Yes.
Next, we have, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the recommendation for our middle school cheer, which includes 9th grade cheer, to be moved out of club status to athletics. The number of sponsors does not change or any of those things. And again, the salary or the stipend for cheer coach will fall right in line with the coaches itself. I believe it's about $1,400.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I had never really understood why it was a club and activity to begin with.
Absolutely.
It's athletics.
Guys, can we
Yep.
add that? Just as an informational item, and hopefully through the next couple of weeks, we'll have something for the board to review. We are working on an MOU with Penn State Greater Allegheny for the use of our baseball, softball, and football stadium for their baseball and softball team and their soccer team for the fall. The partnership is, as developed in the MOU, is to share logos and promotions, as well as having Penn State host multiple camps on campus for school-age student age, so that our kids can take advantage of those camps.
That'd be great.
That's all for athletics and activities.
Are they looking to start that this coming year?
Yes.
Okay. It's exciting.
Under technology, as we continue to move forward with some of our higher-end classes, we're finding out the student laptops cannot handle Photoshop, so we are in need of some more desktops that can handle the Photoshop software, and that would be for the would be up in the library. So we're asking the committee to approve the purchase of 15 more student desktops, which they're from DECTAC, and they are the ones we purchased over the summer, which are up in the library. Dr. Sommer, you have anything to add to that one?
Well, we do have an increase in students that want to take Photoshop. Yes, that's part of the reason.
Yeah, I saw that was a course in the course selection for the high school for
Yes.
this coming year.
We have a new teacher for that, Ms. Bradley, and her classes have taken off.
Yeah, and it's a good resource for the kids in the library to have a computer with a little more power to it too for projects like that if they should need it.
You guys have the price for that? Is it in our folder? I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
see it.
I did. Should be in the
Yeah, I think OneDrive is having some issues.
Okay, it's not
because-
synced.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't been
'cause I
able
wasn't
to
able to see it.
refresh and get into anything on my phone. On the
Alright.
computer, it's okay, but on the
But
mobile
not on the
devices.
phone. All right.
For 15 computers, $29,985.
And these are the same devices as we got for the graphics lab, the graphics classes?
Yes, for the graphics video class, yes.
Our IT guys, take a look at that, the specs on it.
Actually, Mr. Getz is the one who got us the quote. So he knew, we told him we wanted the same computer. So that's what he expected.
It'll be able to handle the software, that's all.
Yes.
Sure that it'll handle.
Yes. Committee recommend move that to the agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Under education, in your folder, you were able to review the 25-26 school year calendar. We would ask that the committee would recommend moving that to the agenda.
Yes.
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 Also, there was an MOU in your folder from Tree Pittsburgh, and that is to help support Tees Trail. Dr. and this was an undertaking that Dr. Solomon started. Would you like to tell everyone a little bit about Tees Trail? The Arboretum?
Sure. Well, over the summer, it goes back to Chief Boyle and Mr. Lick going through the wooded area in the back and discovering some of our old cross-country trails. And Mr. Dsitrict helped us out, him and his team, cleaning out some of the old trails, bringing them back to life. So right now, they're existing and they're in pretty decent shape. To try to move forward in a multi-tiered step, the first one we want to do is we want to try to bring the Whitfield cross-country team back here instead of going all the way over to White Oak Park, since that was the original intentions of these trails. That's number one. The second thing is to make it, our hope is to potentially open it up to the community, to make it more of a walking area that would be, comparative to walking on a track, and then you can walk on these trails. At that point, seeing, what our budgeting is and whatnot, to see if we can try to add some exercise types of stations that would give it like a South Park kind of feel. And then the third one is the academic part. We did a lot of work to the outdoor steam room, which you guys might know is the greenhouse, and to continue building on that and make this a STEAM area as well. And I know that there's a lot of science clubs from K to 12 that found some interest and want to be a part of this. And the one that we wanted to do right off the bat that was the easiest was we made this connection with Tree Pittsburgh, that they will help us plant trees for free. And in turn, they will help us then document what trees that we have. If we could get 25 plus species, which I think is very reasonable, there's probably over 75 species down there. If we get over 25 species, at that point then we could apply for a level 1 Arboretum certification. And then that opens a lot of doors for outside organizations to come in and do educational programs with us, the birds, and different types of animals like that. So that's where this is all going to go, but taking one step at a time. Right now, we're looking for Tree Pittsburgh. They said that they'll come in, they'll plant trees down there, and then they'll help us mark the trees we have. And then at that point, we could label them, and then take a QR code, and then, when the class goes down there, it's one of our environmental classes at the high school, just to start, as we grow, you can go down there just with your phone, hit the QR code, and then you can learn more about the tree. So that's what this is. It's at no cost at all at this point, just a mutual.
That's great. Great news.
Where's this at?
This
I
is,
know, what
this is below the student parking lot.
Those woods that run up behind the baseball, softball complex around the stadium,
Okay.
down towards the Turnpike property.
Yeah. So basically like all back and around,
Mhm.
and then back down to here.
There's about 19 acres.
So there's trails.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
So they used to do the cross-country.
they were old trails.
Yeah, right.
That
But they're
were
still
brought back
just
to life.
overgrown, yeah.
So we'd ask the committee to put that on the agenda for approval.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We also have the high school course of study. There was an updated one we put in there today. So we'll give you some time to look that over. But I would like to have that on the agenda for next week for approval, because the item right underneath there, we do have our elective fair next Friday, where we bring our 8th grade students up and the Duquesne 8th grade students up, and they get to go through the whole elective programs, so we can start our scheduling process. And again, next Friday will be a half day for our high school students, so that our teachers are free to engage those students in that process and in that tour. So we would like to ask the committee to go ahead and move forward with the approval to add the course of study to the agenda.
Yes.
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 One thing I'd like to add, Mr. Souls, last year, Mr. Ingalls, and then this year with Ms. Rao, we do invite the 8th grade students to live in West Mifflin from St. Therese and some of the other schools. They're local, in case they do have some idea that they want to come to West Mifflin in 9th grade.
And we invite Duquesne as well.
This includes
Yes.
Duquesne students too, right?
Yeah, yes.
Right, right.
This actually takes place earlier in January, but that day we were out.
Snow.
Was it the snow or the fire? I couldn't
Okay.
remember. Yeah. We have nothing on the policy, Mr. President. Final thing is under the communication and community engagement. We do have 3 draft letters to the legislators and a resolution, and I know you had your hand there, Mr. President. Would you like to speak to those?
Sure, so this is about the potential cuts that were being suggested regarding the food, providing food for our students for the free and reduced lunches.
Breakfast and lunch.
Yes, breakfast and lunch. And so in Pennsylvania, breakfast is actually covered for every school in the state, whether they're in that program or not. They pick up whoever isn't. We are in West Mifflin covered for both. And so this resolution is pretty much just an opportunity for our board to represent constituents and say that this is something that is beneficial for families and for their success here in the district, and advocating for support of not having that funding level change and that percentage of students that are necessary to meet the threshold to be eligible.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so right now, 60% of your students need to qualify, or 15% of students need to, families need to qualify as low income essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And what is being proposed is moving that level up to 60%.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's at 60%, we're right at the cusp there.
We're at like 58.
Yeah, we're at 58 in some parts of some schools, 61 in others, and so you never know where you're going to be, and we would be kind of at risk there.
And if they move that threshold up to 60%, we would no longer have free lunch.
Correct.
And who's proposing this?
Federal legislation.
Yep,
Federal government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the state government.
it's not the
Right,
state.
so the state government at this time doesn't provide anything in terms of lunches.
They do breakfast.
They do the breakfast.
And this is the federal government that's going to raise the bar essentially for the cutoff to cover free lunch
And free breakfast.
and free breakfast.
So it would end up impacting the state as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I got
Because
you.
they'd have to pick up the tab for all those schools that are now off the list from the federal government.
So then, next school year, if this all plays out, our families will need to bring money or pack a lunch.
Right?
Okay.
Well, actually, I think when you apply, you get a couple years of eligibility where they're not going to like make you prove your numbers at that time. I don't know where we're at in that, if either of you.
I think it's up in the
I'm
air.
not sure, Mr. Squires. I just know there's some level of risk that no matter what has been said in the past, that possibly next year could be different.
Right, absolutely.
So we would ask that committee to recommend putting the draft letters and the resolution on the agenda for approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
That concludes the committee reports, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Souls.
Thank you for putting this together, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas, for getting the resolution together.
Of course.
Okay, next item, solicitors, or still center.
I'll have a report for next week.
Okay. 18, solicitors report.
No report tonight, Mr. President.
Old business, any old business? New business, any new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Gatos.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sahern, meeting adjourned.
Stealing your thunder, dude.